live from Houston, Texas. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of What Makes You Tick. I'm really excited that you're here for number 34. Before, I never thought I'd do one, and I'm doing 34. What are you kidding me? Before we dive in, as always, we have a few housekeeping notes and some things we want to hit on before we get to this amazing guest. I mean, I'm really excited that I get to connect you to this gentleman. But first, look, this is an interactive live session. You're encouraged to interact, ask questions any way that you can. To ask a question, just drop it in the chat. It'll bring key insights into our conversation. We'll use LinkedIn's DM and the comment section for the events posting on any behind the scenes coordination. So feel free to drop a message and we'll do whatever we can. If you get disconnected, which LinkedIn will do from time to time, just simply rejoin. We know that there's several of y'all listening while you're either commuting or you're working or you're trying to stay warm in Houston because it's cold as crap here, or you're just sitting around having a nice cup of coffee, maybe listening to something on a delay. Whatever we need, even quiet listeners are important. So please engage however you can. Thanks again for being here. Now let's get started. My guest today embodies purpose, preparation, and generational impact. The kind of leader who understands that protecting the future starts with protecting the person behind the business. He doesn't just talk about legacy, he builds it. One family and one business at a time. This is a conversation that every founder needs to hear. He's a husband, a father, a respiratory therapist, which is a great story, by the way, a former hospital director who made a move from a hospital corridors to the boardroom by turning a longstanding insurance side business into a full-time calling. After more than 25 years in respiratory leadership, including serving as the director of Inpatient Respiratory Services, he saw firsthand how financial vulnerability can disrupt families and organizations, and he did something about it. His philosophy is simple but powerful. When you protect the person behind the business, you protect the legacy ahead of it. We're diving into a purpose-driven work, trust-based planning, and how health, wealth, and legacy are built intentionally and not accidentally. Join me as we discover what makes Gboly Harris tick. Gboly, my man, it's awesome to have you here. Give the listeners a little insight to what makes you tick.
I love it, Bryan. Thank you for the introduction. And I have to definitely meet Gboly because what you shared about him is just amazing. So it's like, oh, wow. Sometimes you don't realize the journey that you've gone on.
Yes.
Until you hear it. And sometimes you put it on paper, you put it on your resume, you put it on a document, and you read it to yourself and you're like, okay, that's I've done that, and it's a checkbox. But there's another thing when someone actually takes the time to share and you can hear it again. Like we always say, let's give flowers to the person that at the time when they're alive, not when they're dead. So thank you so much for that introduction. As you shared, my vision has always been to support people and be partners with people. At a very young age, I remember my dad saying, "Gboly you can do it." So it's always been about caring about people. So my journey into financial services started with being at the bedside, caring for people and caring for family members, and knowing that I'm able to support them and see the results of that support. That transition to supporting team members, and then transitioning now to supporting business owners and founders to make sure that they are also taking care of themselves, because they're putting so much into their business, and while they're building their business, they forget about themselves. And when life event happens, they're not prepared for what to do. So that is really what I'm in my next phase of my 2,000 weeks left in my life, to be able to make that impact and leave that legacy for my family to see that I'm able to help more people than I started off with.
Right. Okay. So give a little insight. I want to go forward before I go backwards. Normally I go backwards, but what you're telling me, give our viewers a little insight into what you are doing right now and where you're going.
So right now, I'm focused on working with small business owners and founders, because what I've discovered is founders start a business and they focus so
Hmm.
much like it's their baby. Just like
Hmm.
all of us, we're all business owners. To be honest, we're all business owners, because you have to run a profit and loss statement in your own house, right? Every home, every apartment, every person that has a roof over their head has to run a profit and loss statement every month.
Right.
You're either on the negative or you're on the positive. You're either saving more money than you're bringing in, or you're losing more money as you bring in. Likewise, every business has a pulse. So as a business owner, a lot of times we're working so hard to try and keep that business up and running, and it keeps us awake at night trying to make sure that positive numbers are hitting home. On the other side of it, what I see happen is we always forget about taking care of the number one person.
Right.
And when I say taking care of the number one person, making sure that we have the proper protections in place. So using a life insurance tool as a tool to make sure that we have that additional opportunity if ever a life event happens. For example, a stroke, a heart attack, a cancer. If that should ever happen, one is able. It looks like I'm frozen.
You go. Your sound was great. Your face froze, but we could hear you in
I
time.
was like,
So
hold on,
yeah.
sorry. So it's really making sure that we have the protections for the key person, and also the founders of the organizations that have started, and trying to really drive it forward for the next
Mhm.
generation to come. So that's really my goal today. And like I said, I just finished a book called 4,000 Weeks, and it really focuses on, we when we are all giving birth to, most of us make it through 4,000 weeks, and that's
Mhm.
80 years. 4,000 weeks is 80 years. And I'm looking forward to crossing the 4,000 number,
Uh-huh.
hopefully 5,000 weeks if possible. But whatever it is, I do want to leave a mark on the table that I made an impact for so many families and for so many founders, that was able to really truly make an impact for their own generation of families to come.
Right. No, okay. So, and we were talking beforehand, like that's awesome, and it's great where you're going. But how did you get here? So, first of all, how did you get to the United States? I want to know your story, and there's tons of people out there who are maybe listening and go, "Man, I'd love to be in his spot. How do I get there?" But how did you get here? What's your story on getting here?
Oh, so it all started with me being in Nigeria. I was lucky. I was lucky to be born and raised by Frank Harris and my
Mhm.
mom, and they both did a fantastic job in making sure that I had a clear vision of who I needed to be and how I needed to really focus on caring about people. And age, I believe. Um, there was a conversation between my aunties and my dad, and the transition of, hey, you need to have Bali come to the States to study. And he was able to get me a ticket and get me out of the country. And
Uh-huh.
ever since then, I was in California for a little while studying. um, you know, I was sharing with you earlier on about how I discovered respiratory therapy, and
Yes,
that
yes. That was my
discovery
next
started.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, that discovery started off at a club where I was like, okay, hanging out at a club, and there's this guy that had he was just cool dressed. He had a cowboy boots on, and I'm just like, who dresses like this? And I got to reach out, and we just started talking. And I at the end of the evening, he was heading out, and I asked him for his phone number just to make sure that I could keep up with him. He while we are talking, he did tell me that, I'm a respiratory therapist, and I actually teach at the school. And I was like, a respiratory therapist? Teach at the school? What's a respiratory therapist? So
Uh-huh.
a
Yeah.
respiratory therapist is someone that is a clinician that spends 2 years focused on the respiratory anatomy of the human being.
Mhm.
Our role at bedside is to make sure that people are breathing. What I tell people is stop breathing and see what happens.
Right.
So nobody wants to stop breathing. So if anyone stops breathing around us, we're really ready to jump in and help. And we want to make sure that the person breathes and be able to get the right support that they need. So in the hospital setting, that's really what we do. And as we walked out, he had a Cadillac, and I'm like, "Man, a respiratory therapist can have a Cadillac too. I need to have a Cadillac." So I tell a lot of people, actually, respiratory actually chose me. I didn't choose it because I had applied to a lot of clinical programs,
Mhm.
and none of them provided the entrance for me. Respiratory
Mhm.
opened the door, and that was how I was able to start my career as a respiratory therapist. Was really through that opportunity of meeting someone that impressed me. At
Mhm.
a very young age, I was 22, and I was like, man, who can impress you, especially when you see someone that is well dressed, and you look at that person like, man, there's something about this person that really intrigues you. I can tell you, if he was dressed sloppy and looking down and out,
Alex.
I
Yeah.
definitely would not be part of that conversation.
That's, and it's so funny because there's so many people out there. I deal with kids all the time. And one of the things that we focus on is purpose and finding your purpose and discovering. But your purpose actually found you. And where did you go from
Yes.
there? Or in a nutshell, how did you get from there to director of everything that you've been a director of?
you know it starts with being intentional. What I discovered for myself was being a little bit more clear about where I wanted to go, having a 5-year plan put together. um, I had an opportunity to attend John Maxwell's leadership training program,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
he was able to open up and highlight some clarity for me in one of my transition timeline. So after listening and understanding what I needed to do to transition from um, a, a frontline staff member to a leader, to the next leader role, I started seeking those opportunities. But then I had to also prepare myself. So
Right.
I went back to school for additional certifications, and also additional um, what would I call it, degrees, just to make sure
Mhm.
that I was prepared for the opportunities when they presented themselves. So from there, it was just one opportunity that opens up, and I say yes to it. So I'm one of those individuals that when you meet, you say he says yes to a lot of stuff, and he's always involved in a lot of stuff. So I raise my hand a lot of times. So yes, let me try that too. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm gonna do it too. So
No, I love that. Look,
so I find
I,
that to be very encouraging.
no, that's awesome because one of the things, that I always try to look at. One, you mentioned one of my key words is clarity. Being able to create clarity and being able to create trust in your life has to do sometimes with being able to say yes. You don't know if you're going to fail or if you're going to succeed, but if you say no, you never give yourself a chance. Now, I'll be honest, having said that, my focus this year is being able to better say no, so I'm better saying yes to things that I can add true value to. Because as well as I do, you're a yes man. You'll say yes because you want to help and you want to do. Man, you can get lost in that, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not really doing anything here, am I? Do you ever have that feeling?
Yes. Oh, you are so correct. I was laughing about that when you said now you going from yes to being saying it's a no. It's not a
Yeah.
no. It's really
I want to be more intentional
yes.
with my
Let me
yes.
think about it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really, because a lot of times people are really excited about sharing information and really want to bring you into that situation,
Yeah.
um, and that may not be the right timing for me. I will most 90% of the time I will say yes, and I'll try to connect the dot for that person. My hope is to connect them to the right person that
Yeah.
have the time availability to support them for that activity that they're looking for. I may not be the right person, but I want to make sure that I connect them to the right person to support them. So
Right.
that is one of the things one of my mentors had reached out to me one day and said, you know what, you're a great connector. You really connect people. And I was like, thank you for saying that, because that is one of my goals for the next 5 years, is really to connect people. And I know that that's what business is about. Is about connecting people to the right situation. Sometimes we're not great at referring people. We network with people, but we don't refer people to the right situation. So that is one of the things I strive for, and that is one of my 5-year plan, is really to
Yes.
find out how many people can I connect for success, and I can look back in the next 5 years and say, oh, look, I actually connected 80 people, and this
Yes.
was the result of their connections. So really being a great referrer, more so than just taking on all the offers that come my way. So if an offer comes my way, doesn't mean I'm going to say yes to it, but I want to be able to be the one that connects people to the next opportunity that they have.
Yeah, no, and I love that. I've had to go. We were deep into networking, and I've had to go back to education because of my financial situation, my job. I said yes to certain things that didn't lead me down the right path as far as financial. So I had to go back, and I miss that, exactly what you just said, because I'm built that same way. I want to connect. I want to help other people and make a connection. So I can relate to that. But I do want to ask you, with all the stuff that you're doing, and just looking back in the last couple of years, we've become more remote. Like here, we're sitting remote. In your business, how can you build trust and clarity in a remote setting? How does it work within the respiratory and the medical field for you guys?
So um, for respiratory therapists, and I'll say healthcare in general,
Hmm.
it goes back to human connection.
Yes.
We're huge on human connection. Remote does work to an extent, but then no one can bandage up a wrist. We don't have that
Yeah.
yet. We don't have iRobot yet working around going, okay, I'm going to go bandage Bali's wrist. It's not going to happen yet. But I do see that happening in 10 years time. There's going to be solutions in place that really brings home care from a remote basis. Even with us having remote telemedicine, there is
Yes.
still a provider at the other end applying that application that we're advocating for or advising on. So the COVID showed us that we could do a lot of things remotely in the
Right.
healthcare space. Yet we have there's still a lot of hands-on, tactile, relational. People want to be cared for, and
Hmm.
caring means human connection. It means speaking to someone else, and it doesn't mean that we hold our phones and we talk to each other. If I'm sick in a bed, I don't want my nurse or my respiratory therapist or my doctor looking at their phone while they're talking to me. I want them to
Right.
actually have a conversation with me, and they can have documentations later on. One of the
Yeah.
things that we're seeing in healthcare that is really on a high speed is embracing the AI technology into the spaces. So when a physician or a clinician walks into a space, into a patient's room, there's actually ambience AI that's being able to capture information that we're
Yeah.
sharing, and that
Yeah.
is again is happening today. That is happening today. It's just a matter of, can we build it? Do we have enough funding to build those
Right.
facilities?
So hold on to that thought, because I want to go back to that. But I want to end the first segment. I know we talked, because AI is, I want to be more of a focus on exactly what you just said. But let's first, before we go on to, we reset the segment here, I always like to end the first segment with a book. Do you have a book? I know you just mentioned one, but do you have a book that you really like and that you would refer to people?
Wow, I would say the classic. Uh, the classic is "Who Moved My Cheese."
Who? Yeah. And what made that one such a classic for you?
So, Who Moved My Cheese talks about change happens. We have to anticipate change. We have to monitor change. We have to adapt to change. We have to change and also be ready for change. So it really talks about the human process. We're all going through that right now. The technology changes, the approach changes. Us doing Zoom and or being on in the past we'll have actually have to sit down together in a
Yes.
space to have
Mm-hmm.
this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Here we're doing it actually live in person
Mm-hmm.
and using a tool that we had to adapt to. So
Mm-hmm.
change is happening, and the question is, are we willing to move to that change? And then there's going to be the other few people that are like, no, I'm not changing with you. I'm going to stay where I'm at, and I'm going to be where I want to be. And it's okay. It's okay that they stay where they are.
Yeah.
But the rest of us have to figure out, are we going to move with the cheese or continue asking the question? My cheese was always here. I always made all my money here. And what happened to my money?
Yeah. No, I wrote that book. I forgot about that book, and it's about time for me to pick up my next book. So, look,
Yeah.
mine, you're talking about change. I'm laughing because mine is called The Love Dare by Alex and Stephen Kendrick. And it's a 40-day. Have you ever heard of The Love Dare, the
Yeah.
book?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a 40-day challenge built on faith and discipline and intentional love. And it's designed to fix you. It's designed to fix you and your spouse, but really to transform you. It's not to fix somebody else. For me, it's when I picked this book up, it was I was going through or getting ready, didn't know, but I had started going through a divorce. And it helped to create clarity and grace and reshape me to where whenever I came out of it, instead of going through divorce and being angry, and it was one of those books that made an impact and helped me see that there's different things, even in this negative situation, there's positive things that come out of it. And I don't hate, to this day, I don't hate my ex for any reason. It's just, it was one of those things where I needed to really understand what love was because I had my part in this whole thing too. And there were really three big takeaways that I got from it. Was one is that love is a choice. Two, that you can't change others. You can only change yourself, which I kind of already know, but sometimes we need to be reminded of that. And
Yes.
then intentional actions reshape the heart. And it's real love is not driven. And we have all these movie real loves. It's not driven by emotion and circumstance. It's just patience, kindness, and self-control. And sometimes that's the hardest, and we just need to be reminded of it. So, look, today's my 34th podcast. What Makes You Tick? It's a relaxed, purposeful conversation on trust, clarity, and traction. Why? To help you incorporate your purpose into what you do and to impact the lives of yours and those around you. We'll do this by sharing business and personal stories and building a culture of trust, creating clear impact message for leaders and to leaders with insight on how this can build traction within your life and your business. My guest today, Gboly Harris, man, it is awesome. Like, I love your energy. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the AI piece. I've gotten really big into the book I'm listening to right now is the second book on AI, and I've started really digging into and looking at an education of it. I feel in education or anything that we do, I think it can be a thought partner, not something that we should rely on. My son, and I tell the story all the time, built his own business, got out, graduated, and he built his own business using Chat GPT. He and I had the conversation. This was about a year ago. He started it. We had a conversation about 2 weeks ago. And I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, I trusted everything with it, and I shouldn't have. I wish I would have questioned it. And it's a great learning tool, and it gives you great advice, but it's still pulling data. And you have to use that. You said earlier, you have to use that human factor and factor in what you're doing, but it's a great piece. From your standpoint, what are you seeing and how is it important to your business and what's the future look like?
I would. So there are three hats, right? The first hat is the parent hat, the father's hat, and being home and having the same conversation with my sons and my daughter about
Mm-hmm.
AI. My daughter's like, "Oh hell no! Don't even play with that AI," because she's in the performing arts space, and She is very strong about taking her image and using creating an AI activity out of it. It does not, it does not match well. Again, that's performing act, and that
Correct.
we will have to breach that conversation on what does that look like
Mm-mm.
when we get there. I think there's going to be a lot more conversations around. For my other kids that are focused on engineering and business, the conversation is how are you going to apply the tools that you've been given,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that you are the intersection of it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where when we transition that into the healthcare space, it's really being the middleman, the validator of that conversation, making sure that we're not only inputting information, because garbage in, garbage out. You put in
Correct.
a wrong assertion, AI, any of the AIs will give you crap back, and you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. That's not what I was expecting it to do. If you ask for characters to be built in a negative manner, you would get a negative mannered character. So being very cautious of the tool and understanding what the tool, how the tool works, is very important. I know that in our space right now, there's a lot of conversations around how do we make sure, um, as an educator, the conversation on the educator's end is, oh, we have to stop the students from using AI. But then, as consumers and everybody else in the community, as business leaders, we're talking about how do we become more efficient. We need people
Yes.
to understand how to
Yes.
use AI so that we can be more efficient and save on time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the educators are telling the students you cannot cheat with AI, and it's like, okay, I don't know what to say.
That's a battle. Look, man, I battle that, and it's not. I've come to the realization is if they copy and paste it, that's cheating. If they use it to do research and it helps them to learn, and they use that, then it is a good purpose because it makes an impact. But if they just do it to do their homework quick, it they're going to come out going. "Durr." They're going to be just not very smart. And I keep trying to tell them, like, all you're doing is getting through the assignment, and you're not learning anything. But if you're learning something and you're utilizing it, then it makes a bigger impact. And I'm sure you're seeing the same thing within your, and you've got, like, for me, I don't have to worry about patient security. You have to worry about all that stuff too,
Yes.
right? So what are you seeing right now, as far as right now in the hospital? What are you seeing AI being used for?
So there is a huge acceleration in innovation in the healthcare space, and one of the things that I've been looking at is a lot of technology is being pushed out now, where there's ambience AI pulling information from the ambience of the room, of the
Mm-hmm.
space, and as a clinician walks into a room, you can activate your scribe, and the scribe starts picking up information as you're supporting the patient. And once you're done, you can go into the system and review it and accept the information, or make changes to the information based on the final decision maker in that
Mm-hmm.
space. There is telemedicine that that's also going on, where we're actually able to use AI to assess X-rays, use AIs to review lab results. So all that, even though we have an AI do all that, we still need a human factor to be in
Yeah.
space, in that space, to be the final checker, or to
Mm-hmm.
validate that information, to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that we are actually signing off on the right thing, and not signing off on bad information, because that is a human life at the end of that conversation.
Right. And all of this, I mean, no matter what we do with AI, there has to be that interaction, and it's a thought partner. The prompt and everything you do is extremely important. And I'm sure in your business, because you just said it, the prompt is extremely important because it has to do with uh, the way you put the information in. If you put crap in, you're going to get crap out. So being able to put that in is important. Um, and personally, from your side, are you using AI on your personal side at all?
Yes, I actually I employ AI in providing me a scheduling, providing me an outline for my social media posting. So as I look at my social media schedule, it's daunting to just do so. As you know, it's very daunting work to communicate your values, communicate your daily activities on social media. But it's very helpful in making sure that I have a calendar and I can make sure that I'm following through on those commitments that I've put for myself. There are days where I totally forget, and my AI reminds me, "Hey, you forgot to to schedule your post," and I'm like, "Oh crap! Yes, I did forget to say my post."
No, I know that feeling. I've actually backed off because I want to focus on other things. Like like I said earlier, I'm an educator, and I'm going in so many different directions, and the education system right now is taking a lot of my time because it doesn't matter what I do. Like you said earlier, I'm exactly the same way. I want to make sure that I'm the best at whatever I'm doing. And right now I'm looking at, I want to be able to do something different next year. I want to be able to get the next 10 years and make that, my goal is to make the next 10 years in a comfortable situation where I'm working for somebody, some group, or even my own business where I can make an impact and I'm passionate about it. And my kids left. My kid, you still have kids at home, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, mine are gone. Like I want a 10-year runway of being able to, oh, I got me. Yeah, I can do something for me, and go out and make an impact in others' lives. And the use of AI has been able to allow that. But at the same time, if you go too many different directions and you say you say yes way too many times, you're like, huh? What do I do? Well, okay. So if AI were to ask you, what are you an expert in? What would you say that you are an expert in?
I'm going to say building relationship is I'm an expert in building relationship and um, building trust with people.
Man, I went and had, was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. I went to one of my it was two. It was Saturday night because tonight's Monday. Saturday night, I went and had dinner at one of my friends' restaurants. Who, when I worked in the restaurant business, I brought them on as a client, and he was actually on one of my earlier podcasts. And it was nice to talk to him. It was slow. It was a slow Saturday night. And he said that same thing to me. And it, like, hearing that, like, being able to build a relationship was one of my strengths in the business. And as well as I do, there's not enough people that actually do that and really truly care about doing that. You seem like that's what you care about a lot. And when I, like, coming from somebody who did the same way, I feel that in your energy. How would you tell somebody to work at that and get better at that?
Wow, it's you won't believe it. I'll tell you this.
Okay.
I'm an introvert. Introvert extrovert.
No, I can relate. I'm the same way. Yes, yes, yes. When I was a kid, I was quiet. I didn't talk to girls. I was scared of girls. I peed on my leg. Yeah, I know. I'm the same. Yeah.
and then I think something broke, and next thing I know, it's like I'm super extrovert. It's like, what happened? I was like super shy and quiet, and next thing you know, it's like I'm talking to everybody. I believe it's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Being a connector, committed to connecting with people and being intentional about it is a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to say, I hate people, I don't want to talk to people, and that is a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can have, wow, human beings are great things. We are human and we're becoming better. So I am becoming a better version of myself every day. So, and I choose that route because I do have a couple of choices. I could either be mean and angry or be happy and connect.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people connect with happy people.
Mm-hmm.
People don't connect with angry people. They don't connect with people that are frowning. They don't connect with people that are sad. Nobody wants that because, like, okay.
No.
But people want to connect with people that are happy and want to really build relationship. So I tell it a lot of my people, my goal is really to be of service. How can I serve? And if I can help you to go the extra inch, hey, I was able to help you take that step that you needed. Now, that does not mean in my circle of 1,000, that doesn't mean that you're in the circle of 5, right?
Right.
It's just that
Right.
I had that opportunity to be that right person at the right time to help you to take that next step that you needed.
Correct.
And if that's all God has given me to do, then that's great. That is what I needed to do for you. And then on to the next human that needs to be blessed and to be supported. So sometimes people get upset. Oh, this relationship sucks, and this person never called me back. I never look at that. If you don't call me back, I'll still call you. I'll still check on you. So, and I believe that is really. Someone says that's a salesman's mentality. I said, well, I don't believe it's a salesman's mentality. I believe it's a human mentality.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
really being intentional about caring about people. So picking up the phone and checking on people is being genuine. Just checking in, seeing how you're doing, sending a text message, hey, how you doing? It's being intentional about being able to be there for other people. Now, I may not be able to loan you any money, but that's okay. But I'm still checking on you.
It's so funny you're saying that, because that's the like we talked earlier. No, saying no is one of my goals this year, is to be able to say no so I can intentionally say yes for the right things. One of my other bigger goals is because of the transition, a lot of the stuff I've gone through. You just said it. I'm going to make it an intentional. I've made it an intentional goal to be in touch with more people and send them a text and call them and go, hey, how's it going? Been a while since we talked. Hey, let's go have a drink. Let's have coffee. Let's go have dinner, something. Because there's not enough in this world that we had. It's not enough. And you said it earlier. Mindset is huge. And I think most people, a big takeaway for them here is to understand that mindset for them it can take you a long way, and it can create a lot of positive opportunities. What about you? Now, you mentioned positive mindset or a mindset. How can you utilize? How do you best utilize, or if you're going to give somebody advice, how would they best utilize mindset to create positive opportunities from things that have gone negative? Well, hold on. You said something earlier. It's funny because one of my biggest focuses over the last couple of years has been when I was younger, and tons of younger people, and tons of people that when they lose a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a love interest, they lose that, they beat themselves up, and they go, why did they do that? Honestly, the way I started looking at it with mindset is two things happened. One, you made an impact in that person's life, and the time was over for that. Two, you've given them a chance and a runway to lead them down the right path. So now you've helped them along. Now they have the opportunity to go down the next path. And you were one of the instrumentals that got them there. So when you said that, I was like, God, I just literally just had this thought the other day, the same thing. But yeah, okay. So back to my question. Now that I've rambled, anything mindset. How can you use a positive mindset to create a positive opportunity out of something that may be negative?
you know, um, there's an interesting book I recently read, and this was a conversation with my daughter. It's called Ask and It's Given,
Mm-hmm.
and it talks about just being having the right vibrations and having it is a metaphysical conversation about we come from the universe, and uh, you can believe in any religion you want to believe in, but at the end of the day, we are all here on a specific purpose, right? And we all have to discover what our purpose is and
Mm-hmm.
being clear about what that purpose is. So working yourself through what is it that I am looking at achieving? What is it that I want to make an impact on? And for me, in the last the last 15 years started with I want to be of service. I want to be of service. How do I be of service? I'm looking for opportunities to be of service, and I'm putting that out into the universe of how do I really find that opportunity to serve other people, and
Mm-hmm.
not only at the bedside, but now leading a team. And how can I serve that team to make sure that team member and the team itself is able to serve the patients and families that we're caring for, and transitioning from that to now my financial service space where I'm able to look at it to say, how am I supporting my team? and also supporting my business owners and also the founders to make sure that they are taken care of, and my team is also supporting them effectively. So really putting out that positive mindset of, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is how I want it to happen. Now I don't know who it's gonna who I'm not I don't know who the who is, but I know
Right.
that the how I've already put it out there. Is I know that I want to make more impact on founders and owners, and that is where I want to be. And so that starts with me. So it all starts with you. So you have to decide what is it that you're asking for, and
Right.
if you know what you're asking for, then you have to work on that.
No, and being with athletes all my life, one of the biggest things that I've come to realize over the years is that being an athlete, being an athlete, being a coach, it prepares you for a lot of different things because um, you face not life and death, but you face situations every moment whenever you're in a game, in a practice, that can be a positive or negative experience. And being able to flip that and keep your mindset straight and be able to have a positive mindset through it all makes a big difference. In your business is the same thing, but you deal with people in more of a life and death situation. So I can imagine you walk into a room, you got to have some kind of positive energy. You've got to have some kind of positive mindset, because if you walk in there and that patient's, you know, suffering, and you walk in with that negative, it's like you're not helping them.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
look, let's go to we've got one more segment left. Thank you guys for being part of my podcast. What makes you tick? Gboly and I are having a great conversation. It's an authentic, purposeful conversation that's surrounded by trust, clarity, and traction. If you have any questions, please send a message. We'd love to get your DMs. Anything you can add, anything you want to say, please send us a DM. We'd love to have it. Gboly, what in our discussion would you give so far as a takeaway? One thing that the audience should take away.
I would say one thing. Wow, one
One
thing.
thing.
That's
It's all you
tough.
got for now.
One thing to take away is having a clear mindset of I want to make an impact,
Mm-hmm.
and what does that impact look like?
Mm-hmm.
Having that clear vision of what that impact looks like. So for me, it's 500 families, 500 businesses. I want to make an impact in the next 5 years on 500 families, 500 businesses. So it's a clear vision of where I want to be.
Yep.
And once you can be clear about that, then everything else comes into place. The who comes into place, the how comes into place, the why.
Mm-hmm.
You already
Mm-hmm.
have your why, but the who and how comes into play. And that is really the start of that whole journey, is for us to move to that next level of where we want to go.
Okay. So no, I love that. And it leads me into a thought. Based in your journey, you can't have had every positive thing happen. You know, you saw the guy in the Cadillac. Do you have a Cadillac, by the way? You have a Cadillac yet? I mean, there has to be something. We all have these negative experiences that change us. You mentioned earlier going from an introvert to an extrovert, and how all of a sudden it happened. There's been things in my life that were negative that have helped that to do the same thing. Is there a negative moment in your life that you can think of that you saw that was a challenge that created resiliency and positive life change now looking back because of the mindset you took?
Wow, there's so many of them. There's so many buckets of
Tell,
life events. Oh yeah, this is the next phase. But during the time it happens, 99% of the time you're not ready for it,
correct.
right? When it happens, you're like, oh, why did this happen to me? And we're not asking why did it happen for me.
Uh-huh.
We're all thinking about why did it happen to me. It shouldn't have happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And recently I was talking to my daughter, and she was reminding me that, you had this for 3 years. I've been working on my financial services business, and just been doing it as a side hustle, and while working full time. And my transition did happen from the hospital, and I made the decision to jump fully into the financial services space. And again, during that transition, you're asking yourself, why did this happen to me?
Mhm, mhm.
And then you realize, and she was reminding me, she goes, but Dad, you remember you were actually putting this out into the universe that you wanted to go full time helping business owners, and you've already been doing that. You've had 5 business owners that you've actually worked with, where you've helped them go from 10% growth to almost 45% growth
Wow.
in a given year. So you are really doing that work, but you just have not given yourself the credit for it. And I'm like, no, but no, I don't like it. But so like every one of us, when we're going through the eye of the needle, it's very hard.
Yes.
It's a hard process, and we're thinking, why is it happening to me? The true questions we should be asking is, wow, I'm so excited that this is happening for me, because I'm about to go the next level. Because as you know, when we look at a bean seed, when you put it into the ground, it has to crack open, and
Yes.
for the roots to open up. Well, the bean seed is thinking to itself, why is it happening to me? Why am I cracking open? Right? But then a few months later, it's producing more beans. And you're going, wow, if only the bean seed could see the future 6 months later, or 3 months later. If
Yeah.
only the seedling could see itself 3 weeks later, to see the new formation it creates in that next phase, we would all be like, wow, can you imagine? Remember when I was X and now I'm Y?
Right.
But then, but during that time period, it's just so hard. It's just so hard for us to internalize it, and say, this is happening for me because I know I'm getting ready for my next phase. I'm just gearing up for that next level to really make that huge leap forward. So I feel every event that has happened for me
Hmm.
has really propelled me to the next opportunity. It's not that it took me backwards, or it didn't make me less than. It just
Right.
prepared me, and it was also an opportunity for me to reflect, because a lot of times I'm so busy running, I've not
Yeah.
reflected yet. So it's an opportunity for me to reflect and then take action.
So let me ask you this, and if you don't want to, that's fine. But is there one? Just I'm sure there's multiple, because I think back in my life, just in the last 5 years, we had a business. I left a job I had that I really loved, was doing well, to start a business, take an opportunity. We did that for a while, and it failed. During that time, I lost almost everything. And now I'm in the process of regaining it. But in that, I got to do things that I would have never done. I've met people that I would have never met. Do you have a specific instance that you could share with us of something negative that happened that you went through, a specific instance that you went through that ended up being a positive growth moment?
Yeah, sure. I actually, which was I was working at Harris Health, and I had an opportunity on the outpatients, well, on the home health side of things. I was recruited to be a director of a program that was going to help about 150 uh, patients, to make sure that they don't get readmitted to the hospital. So I'm like, yes, I love this. Let's go out and let's do this. At the end of that transition, it was not what I expected it to be.
Uh-huh.
I was not expecting home health to be as hard as it was. I was not expecting the driving that was involved in that whole process, and then also the fallout that came out of the business. Because again, this was me going from a large hospital system that had systems in place, that had policies and procedures in place, going into I'll call it a small business space. And I
Okay.
was not ready for a small business mindset. I didn't have a small business mindset. Now, um, and walking into that space, I was really thinking, oh yes, we can take this from 0 to 100 in 30 minutes, and only to discover that's not how it works in small business. And you don't have a huge budget, and you don't have HR recruiting for you. You don't have anything available for you to do what you do in the large corporation space. So going into that space was an eye opener for me, but then it was also a great learning experience, because I learned about how small business operates, how patients and families that we discharge from the hospital, especially our families that have medical challenges. And even though we discharge them from the hospital, we're thinking, oh, they're great. But really, when you go to the home setting, you discover the challenges that goes on, which again highlighted my need to look at the financial services and how do I make sure that people are prepared for life events that could happen to them. So it was a full connecting the dots for me. But during that time period, I didn't think about it. I was like, this is sucky.
Yeah.
This is sucky. I hate this. And I need to get out of here as soon as possible. But I'm glad. I'm so glad that happened for me, because if I never took that opportunity, I wouldn't discover a different version of myself.
And that's what everything we do has to do with discovering who you are and what your potential is. And I tell kids this all the time, and adults, like, you're going through situations, positive and negative, to help you grow. How you look at it and how you want to perceive it is important. And being able to sit into a situation and go, okay, I'm a man of faith, and you are too. I always ask, the one of the biggest transitions that I discovered, and I think I say this every show, one of the biggest transitions I discovered was, instead of going, why are you doing this to me, God? Ask, what am I supposed to learn from you, God? What are you teaching me? And when you ask that question, in the moment of negative or positive, it doesn't matter. But when you ask that question, it opens your eyes and you're able to see something from a different perspective, which you never did. And I think exactly what you just said is you're going through going, oh my gosh. But you, if I understand correctly, you looked at it as, what am I supposed to learn here? And what are you teaching me? What am I going to use next?
Yeah. 100%. Talking about kids, with my kids being, while they were in middle school and high school, every time I pick them up, one of the questions I ask them is, what did you learn about yourself today?
That's a great question.
What did you learn about yourself today? And they're always like, Dad, what did I learn about myself? I didn't learn it about myself. But my hope is, after 6 years of asking the same question, that when they get older, they're able to now ask that question when things happen for them. They can actually go, what did I really learn about myself during this journey? What did I learn about myself during this situation? Because we're all on that self-discovery process. We're not human being, we're human becoming. We're learning to become a better version of ourselves every day. So that's why I ask my kids questions like, what did you learn about yourself? And whenever an event happens or they get frustrated, I'm like, okay, so what did you learn about yourself? Yeah. And they're like, I don't know about that.
They want to be, so, a lot of times they just want to be, they want to, Dad, feel sorry for me for a minute. No, what are you supposed to? Look, and it's funny because now that, and you're being a dad and being a leader, you'll see this. I've had kids that I taught, and my own kids, in the moment you're doing things because you know it's right, and you're trying to teach them and you're trying to be helpful, and they push back and sometimes they don't do anything. You never know when that may be used or when that moment may come back to them in the future. And what I found is that people that I've come across, my son, who started the business, is now working with the gentleman that I taught once. And he was not very, I pushed him because he didn't push himself, and he pushed back and didn't like it. And now he's like, yeah, I understand where he was coming from, but those moments were big enough to make still an impact on him. My son, same thing. My kids, same thing. They'll come to me and say, Dad, you said this 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and they'll remember it. And you're like, I don't even remember saying that. And it's like at the moment when it comes back to you, go, yeah, but nothing happened. Like you didn't take it in. And then now here we are 7 years later, and you're going, yeah, it made a big, you just never know. And you have to
Yeah.
be able to. So how do you, okay. So turning that into would you say that you're a guy that has reached his dreams or chased his dreams?
Wow, 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 wow. I was just talking to my daughter about that one today.
So what advice did you give her? Like how do you tell people, look, what's the best advice you would give to somebody chasing their dreams?
So I'll have to share this story. So my daughter was working a couple of weeks ago, and we were having this video conversation, and this lady walks in and was asking her about questions about the facilities and stuff, and she was sharing with her, and then she finally told her, "Oh, I'm on the phone with my dad, and I'm just wanting to share. I need to get back to the phone with my dad." And she goes, "Oh, I need to tell your dad something." So she gets a phone and did a video talk. I had a conversation with the lady, and she proceeds to telling me, I'm 83 years old. And I just have to let you know that your daughter is amazing. She is a great kid. And so first it was like, wow, that is the best thing ever. I didn't do it. She just grew up to be the best kid ever. And I was just able to guide the leaves a little bit and make sure it didn't fall apart. On the other side of it, what we end up agreeing on is like, this lady is 83 years old and she's still pursuing her goals. She was asking about the business. She wanted to know
Mhm.
if the business owner wants to sell. She's interested in finding out what else is going on with the business and how she can be of service to that business. And I'm
Yeah.
going, this is like the light that just shone for us this month. This is telling us that it doesn't matter what age you are, you're still going to continue pursuing your goals, your vision, your priorities. So
Right.
as long as you have that clarity for yourself and knowing, am I driving myself, and is this mission meaningful? Is this mission important to me enough?
Mhm.
And have I touched enough people? Like I said, I have 500 people, 500 businesses, 500 founders and leaders that I want to make an impact for in the next 5 years. So it's like 100 a year. Now I'm pushing a little bit tighter, but that is my litmus light that I'm looking at. Is like, I want to see that color change happen as I progress in helping more people.
Yeah.
Um, I may be able to double that number, but I don't know yet.
But still, I'm just amazed. What I'm amazed is exactly, I've met more older people. Like there's a gentleman that's 79 that's still coaching. And it's amazing to see a lot of them are doing it not because they need the money, but because they want to keep doing it. And it's amazing to hear that. Look, we're getting close to the end of the show, but I do want, the one thing I always end with is, because the younger generation is so important. I don't know that they understand how important trust and clarity are in their lives. So you get a chance right here to give them the advice. If you're giving your kids or your kids' friends advice on how important trust and clarity are, especially with this generation and the stuff they have, what advice would you give them?
Oh, wow. So for trust, it starts with just being present with that person. So in healthcare, we build trust fast by being present.
Hmm.
So in a conversation, you're not looking at your phone, you're not looking sideways, you're not looking making faces. Check your face, learn how to look in the mirror and say, okay, this face is kind of weird. Don't want to do that face. Don't want to like do that kind of face or do like that face, but do the right. Make sure you have better control of your facial expression, because people
Yeah.
see that. That's one of the first things that people look at is like, oh, is this person coming across properly towards me? And the speed of trust is high. A lot of people make decisions within 30 seconds, within five
Hmm.
seconds
Hmm.
of that
Hmm.
relationship. When you walk in towards someone, it's okay to smile. It's okay to smile. It's not okay to be, you know, you're constipated. I tell my kids a lot of people are bad drivers because they're constipated, and it's okay because I know they're constipated. That's why they're driving bad. They have to get somewhere. So
Love
I'm
that.
not mad with them for cutting me off. I'm okay with them. So sometimes you have to make up stories for people because and allow them to be the version of the person that they need to be. And making sure that you have clarity of purpose, making sure that you know why, what your why is.
Hmm.
Simon Sinek's book is great.
I love that book.
Start with why. I think
Yep.
every young person needs to read that book. Every person needs to read that book because it really propels that conversation forward of discovering who you are before you start worrying about what other people are or what other people are doing.
Yeah.
So if you don't know who you are, then you get upset with everybody's problems. So so having just that true clarity of purpose is important, and being able to now start reaching out. If you're an introvert, it's okay to be an introvert.
Yeah.
You're only an introvert because you don't have enough interesting stories to tell. So I tell people, young kids, you're introvert because you don't know the information. That's why you're an introvert.
Hmm.
You're an extrovert when it comes to video gaming. Oh, you know what? I play Xbox. Oh no, you know what? I play this. Oh, I do this. And next thing you know, like you're talking about this product and this item. I'm
Yeah.
going, I don't know nothing about that. My kids love soccer. I love soccer, but they love soccer. Guess what? They can go on and on about MLM. They can go on and on about
Uh-huh.
Euro League
You're
all
like,
day long, and it's okay because they're no longer introverts, they're extroverts at that point in time. They're sharing that information, and
that,
you have to know what you're master of.
yeah.
If you're really good at cards, then you can, man, I can tell you 52 games you can play on a card,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you become an extrovert. We're all introverts because we don't have enough information, or we don't trust ourselves enough with the information that we have. And then comes
You,
AI. Well, you can become a you
oh,
can
yeah.
become a quick extrovert by learning AI a little bit more. But then having that, being able to talk about it, is important. And once you once you become a master of some information, we become extroverts.
Look, you said it a minute ago with why, and you hit a spot. One of the biggest things that I would love to be able to see, and I don't know how to do it yet, but if I had a mission, I would do it. Our schools, private, public, it doesn't matter, need to be teaching our kids their purpose and how to discover it, and then helping them connect it to opportunities within their career path. Because if you can connect your career path to your purpose, you never work a day.
Yes.
And we don't have these broken marriages. Okay, I'm not going on that because we're done. We're over time already. But I like you hit a spot that when we talk about purpose, that book made a huge impact on the way that I look at life. Look, guys, please connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube. You'll see this air on both of them. YouTube, it'll still be there, and then I'll download it to Spotify when we're done. Gboly, please share with with the audience how they can connect with you.
You can definitely connect with me on Facebook and LinkedIn. Bali Harris, Bali Harris on LinkedIn, and Bali Harris on Facebook, and I'm also on Instagram, Bali H. So I look forward to connecting with you, and hopefully I can be a positive impact for you and your businesses.
Love it. No, look, thank you for being. It's been an awesome conversation. Thank you for being on What Makes You Tick.
Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Look, hey, let's go out and make an impact in others' lives through trust, clarity, and traction. Let's be transitional over transactional. You can find me on LinkedIn and stay connected for future episodes with this conversation. Look for it on Spotify, like I said, and maybe coming in the near future. You may see it on Apple. By the way, go Astros. We've got baseball season coming up soon. That's why it's so cold down in Houston right now. Join me next week when my guest will be Megan Eddings, a high energy person with a positive mindset who delivers on impact. Go out and have an impactful week and enjoy your family. See you.